Hello and welcome to the Sage CRM Technical Deep Dive for Developers. This is the first of 4 video lessons that make up a survey of changes to Sage CRM that may impact developers and support staff. These videos will explain the technical changes introduced in Sage CRM 7.3, and the lessons, when taken together, will help you understand the scope of the changes and how they may impact the development and support of extensions to Sage CRM. 7.3 has added a new suite of business accelerators for sales. It's also provided additional business insight through the introduction of new gadgets, reports, and interactive dashboard templates. A new contemporary user experience has been provided by a brand new theme, and an enhanced mobile experience has been provided through the use of a new optimized mobile theme, as well as new apps for both iPhone and Android. And there's been a new email marketing solution introduced into the product as well. These new features in Sage 7.3 may have an impact on existing components, add-ons and techniques used to extend Sage CRM. These changes may affect changes within the database and data model, custom code, and the usage of APIs, as well as metadata and any mobile optimized customizations that may already exist. Not all of the new Sage CRM 7.3 features are covered in this presentation and in the other presentations that make up the full deep dive. Only those that may impact existing customizations. If you want to learn more about the new features for Sage CRM 7.3, then I'd refer you to the videos that are available on the video channel within the Sage CRM community. The 4 videos of this deep dive together aim to meet 2 main objectives. You need to be able to check what work is required to ensure that components that were originally created in Sage CRM 7.2 will install correctly in Sage CRM 7.3. Now, you may find that you need to do work on the ES and ECF files, as well as any other files that are included within the component. You also need to understand what changes you may need to make to enable custom add-ons, customizations, and extensions that used to work inside Sage CRM 7.3 continue to work with Sage CRM 7.3 when a system is upgraded. So will your classic ASP pages, will your .NET assemblies, will your web services all work after you've upgraded a system from 7.2 to Sage CRM 7.3? In this lesson, we're going to look at what resources and documentation are available to support the release. We're going to look at what customization areas you need to review, and we're going to look at how changes in the supported environments are likely to affect your customizations and how installation and upgrading has changed. The first thing that we should do is to remind ourselves of the resources and documentation that have been made available to help you learn. Now, amongst the resources that we have are when you have installed or downloaded the install of Sage CRM 7.3, you will find underneath the installation folders the full set of documentation, and this documentation will also be on the Sage CRM community. So you're going to have the user guide, the system administrator guide. You're also going to find that there is an installation and upgrade guide for Sage CRM 7.3. So you're going to have all of the core documentation immediately available upon release. In addition to that, you will also find that there are important documents and resources for developers. You've got access to the full support matrix, So there's the latest support matrix which described the supported environments for Sage CRM 7.3. The SDK installer is immediately available on release of the core product, as is the advanced customization wizard or main entity wizard for Sage CRM 7.3, and a whole set of code samples which demonstrate API techniques are also available. In addition to that, all of the topics which we're covering in this lesson and in the 3 other lessons which make up the technical deep dive are backed up by blog articles on the community. But as we explore all of the new features, let's have a look at the overview of what these are. After all, changes that have been made include, inside the product, a new contemporary user interface. This is going to be a big change, and I'll touch on this towards the end of this lesson and in the next lesson. We'll look at the improvements made to the mobile experience for customers, and we'll touch on that in one of the later lessons within the series, including mentioning the idea of the iPhone and Android apps as well, and the customization capabilities of those. And we'll also look at the impact that the MailChimp integration has. Now, when we look at these, we're going to be looking at not so much from the user's usage of those features, because this is a developer deep dive. We're going to be looking at the potential impact on our own existing customizations that these changes may have. But amongst the changes introduced in Sage CRM 7.3, there are new alerts and notifications. We're going to see that there's a whole set of really of new escalation rules, as there is an additional opportunity workflow. We'll find that there are changes to the existing opportunity workflow, as well as new reports, charts, as well as chart types. So it's important to realize that there are new chart types which have been added within 7.3, and there have been also new example dashboard templates, as well as a very useful feature which is the merge to PDF. So there are extensive changes made in Sage CRM 7.3. Now, all of these changes consequently could have an impact on existing customization. So what areas do you need to review? Well, as part of this training course, we have to concentrate only on those features that may have implications on anything that depends on the data model, the usage that we make of the APIs, or the assumptions that we make about metadata. So it's important to understand what needs to be done to avoid errors as a component is updated. Now, you're going to need to investigate the impact that the changes introduced by the new theme and the additional features have on customizations and components. Consequently, you're going to need to check the following types of customizations contained in components. These are going to include custom pages. These are classic ASP pages, custom lists, custom reports, custom screens, create and validate scripts, custom tabs, table and entity level scripts, and workflow and escalation and notification rules. Now, just as an observation, many of these areas you're not likely to see any problem with the way in which the code works, but you may find that what the code does doesn't need to do it anymore because of the new features. So you may also find that there are conflicts between what you are referencing in metadata and what has been introduced in Sage CRM 7.3. So you do need to check all of these. And of course, we're going to see, and I'm going to be expanding on this in a little bit in one of the later lessons, on the changes that have been made to workflow and escalation and notification rules. Now, I found that when I was working with the beta, I also needed to check some areas that were easily overlooked. and these include things like the Search SQL properties of fields or the filters associated with Search Select Advanced fields. Now, it's not expected that the changes in Sage CRM 7.3 have affected any of the areas that I've mentioned. Nevertheless, you must review these to ensure that there is no unexpected behavior demonstrated by the code. And that includes SOAP Web Services code, any AJAX code that you've included within custom content or on change, or whether you've in fact written the code using the .NET API, or the potential impact within self-service as well. I don't anticipate that there are changes that will have damaged or broken those areas, but you do need to double check as you are moving and preparing for an upgrade. And one of the areas that you need to be especially aware of is the change in the supported environments. Now, our supported environments stretch from everything on the server all the way through to the application server and to the browser machine that the user experiences Sage CRM by. So what do you do? What do you have to do? Well, you have to make sure that you have access to the support matrix, as the most significant change made to the supported environments within Sage CRM 7.3 is that Sage will no longer offer Oracle as a choice of database with the release of the new version of Sage CRM. So Sage CRM 7.3, you cannot use Oracle as a choice of database. You may want to refer to the official end-of-life notification, which can be found on the community. You can continue to use all of the standard supported environments for Sage CRM with with a set of exceptions and additions, and this is where you do need to go to the support matrix to reference. Now, some of the things I would point out is that Sage typically adds support for new versions of software, so Microsoft SQL Server 2014 support is added, and we also add support for the service packs. Where we've added support for a service pack, that may imply we are no longer supporting previous versions. So if we have a look at this next slide, you'll see that where we are supporting SQL Server 2014 and SQL Server 2012 SP2, that's had a consequential dropping of support for the unpatched or unservice packed versions of that SQL Server. And Sage CRM, where it has dropped support, for example, we're no longer providing support on Windows 8, it doesn't mean that Windows 8.1 is not supported. It still very much is. So do check the support matrix, because all of these changes that we've introduced into the support area can have subtle impacts on your customizations and can have impacts on components as well. So, for example, if you have a component that takes into account whether the component was being installed on Oracle or MS SQL Server, that component, for example, could be simplified as the component is changed for Sage CRM 7.3. We only have to worry about Microsoft SQL Server, after all, with Sage CRM 7.3. And you'll need to check any direct SQL interactions that your code makes for SQL Server features that have either been deprecated or discontinued in Microsoft SQL Server 2014. Parts of Sage CRM you'll need to look at are where you're using freeform SQL generated by custom pages. That's either classic ASP pages or .NET pages. And where you're linking to external systems, please note that usage of remote servers needs to be replaced by using linked servers. That's a That's really rather a change in the way in which SQL Server 2014 works. So do make sure that you know where to find the latest support matrix for Sage CRM 7.3 and get used to referencing it as you prepare to upgrade a customer to the latest version. So if you are going to install Sage CRM 7.3 or you're going to upgrade from 7.2 to 7.3, what's changed? Well, of course, there have been some changes to the way in which the installation operates internally. These can be reasoned through based on the changes that I've already outlined. There are changes in the way in which themes are delivered, and there are changes to the default metadata settings. An example of this is the way in which in new installs a common consolidated mobile theme is provided, and in an upgraded system how the older mobile themes are soft deleted and the existing browser associations are moved to the new mobile theme. Now I'll be talking about the mobile theme later on in the series of deep dive videos. And other changes that have been made to the installation include the installation of the new version of the CK editor, which is the rich text editor used by the HTML email composition screens. All of these types of changes, however, are invisible to the person carrying out the installation. So the good news is that the only change to the installation screens are that it respects the new Sage branding. There are some additional internal checks because of changes to supported software, and I would refer you again to the end-of-life statement associated with the fact that Sage no longer offers Oracle as a choice of database with the release of Sage CRM at 7.3. Other than that, there have been no changes to either the installation or upgrade screens. But if you install a new instance of Sage CRM 7.3, you may be in for a big surprise, especially if you've not seen anything about Sage CRM 7.3 already. The default interface is very different. The contemporary theme added in 7.3 is a great visual change to the interface, and this will almost certainly affect your user's experience of your components and customizations. Have a look at the screenshot here of the interactive dashboard. The main menu that used to be vertically arranged on the left hand side of the screen is now horizontal at the top of the screen. The color scheme and the fonts are very different. The look is sparse and pared down, with the use of icons being reduced, and where they're still used, the icon set has been refreshed. It's clean, it's flat, and very contemporary. To a user, the new interface added in Sage CRM 7.3 is going to be far more visually obvious than the removal of frame sets that took place in Sage CRM 7.2. But actually, there should be far less of an impact on existing customizations in Sage CRM 7.3 than when we face the move from Sage CRM 7.1 to Sage CRM 7.2. This is essentially because the new interface design has been implemented using the use of a new theme. And so, themes were introduced in Sage CRM 6.2, so as a design tool they've been around for many years. If you have a look at this screenshot, the change to the orientation of the screen look and feel uses the standard tools of Sage CRM themes. So it uses CSS style sheets, it uses metadata, and it uses image sets. To enable the change to the interface, several changes also had to be made to the software. But the most important change took place back in Sage CRM 7.2, not actually in this new version 7.3. So we've already had to face the largest change. Now the image above, the one on the screen at the moment, should remind you of the old Sage CRM 7.1 frame set arrangement. There are many reasons why removing the frame sets in Sage CRM 7.2 was a very good idea, but in my mind one leaps out: that a simpler interface based on well marked up pages is much easier to control through CSS and styles. It's much easier to create customizations for Sage CRM that work with multiple devices. The new contemporary style and the changes to the mobile themes have been able to take advantage of that reason within Sage CRM 7.3. Now, 7.2 created the div tag arrangement that allowed the styles within the theme to position those tags where needed. In any system upgraded from Sage CRM 7.2 to Sage CRM 7.3, the older themes will still be present and still be available, and the new theme is just an option like any other theme, so it will be set and chosen by a user. That's under the user's control, or as far as the user's control is allowed by the system administrator. Now, although the big change took place in Sage CRM 7.2, there have still been further changes necessary to allow the implementation of the new contemporary interface. Now, these changes are both internal and external to the core system. The external changes are easy to understand. These are the style sheet files and the image sets. The internal changes are to the way in which the HTML is created. Now, on the screen at the moment are the files that you can find under the install directory and have a scope that includes user screens, admin screens, web reports, logos and icons. So it's all down underneath the themes area, and you can see there's a new CSS file called ergonomic. That's the new contemporary theme. The link between the user interface and the new theme is through translations. There have also been internal changes to Sage CRM. Now here I mean that just like when Sage CRM 7.2 changed the way in which the HTML for screens was generated to remove the frame sets, so in Sage CRM 7.3 there have been subtle changes made to the way in which the HTML is tagged in order to allow full control of the positions of elements on the screen. Now, since the HTML structure will have changed slightly, this may have an impact on your customizations. I'll discuss this further in the next video. The ergonomic theme, this is the internal name for the contemporary theme, uses CSS positioning properties to allow the positioning of the screen elements, and those elements can be positioned using the top, bottom, left and right properties. And to control the layout, the position property is used, and the new theme uses both absolute and relative positioning. Now, we've come to the end of this part of the survey of changes. The next lesson will continue the exploration of the changes that may affect existing customizations and extensions of Sage CRM. In the next lesson, we're going to look at how the new user interface theme actually affects your user's experience of components, and we'll also look as to whether there is a clash between new tables and fields in our customizations. We'll look at what's changed in alerts and notifications and how workflow has changed, and also what new workflow rules and actions have been added into the system.